Happy mid-March, everyone. If this were 2019, 2018, or hopefully 2022, we'd be nursing our St. Patty's Day hangover from last night. But we're not. We're in 2021, 1 year into a global pandemic, and there's no hangover to nurse because, well, we never stopped drinking. This past year has been a weird one for sure. Introverts became extroverts, extroverts became introverts, and extroverted introverts finally had a legitimate excuse for staying in without suffering from the world's worst case of FOMO. But with that said, 2020 wasn't all 19 things I hate about you. A lot of folks took this time to, really sit with themselves, because they had to, and try out some new hobbies, like crocheting a whole effing sweater. That looks warm. Yeah, I like that. Or dancing sans dance club. Luckily enough, we don't need a night out at the club to eagerly make plans with our friends to go jogging at 7 a.m. tomorrow. And to preserve authenticity, I won't be going anyways. Your hobby is running. My hobby is sleeping. We are not the same. And speaking of hobbies that clearly weren't meant for everyone, who decided that being a plant mom or a bread mom was the pandemic activity? If there's one thing I regret from 2020, it's not realizing sooner that giving your sourdough starter a cute name is not enough to keep it alive. Sorry, Quarantine Aguilera. Because, let's face it, for some of us, the most popular pandemic hobbies just weren't enough to combat the loneliness, leading some of us to try COVID-safe group hobbies, kind of like adult league dodgeball and going for daily walks, which we were also bad at. But you know who did get really freaking good at taking walks? This guy. I'm sure you've heard by now that Rhode Island has its very own farm-to-table fugitive, the Johnson cow. Sure, the meaty martyr may have only been hoofing it since last month, but let me tell you, that bovine was not feeling fine. And good for him. He clearly isn't kowtowing to the pressure of 2020, and instead he's moving on from the past. It's an utter miracle that any of us could, really. So, with this in mind, we should just leave him be and steer clear for now. But, if you do see him, can you get him on the horn for me? He has my copy of Walden, Life in the Woods. And if you're the type that doesn't deal with your inner conflict and leave society and write the next great 19th century memoir sort of way, we have a marvelous alternative if you're looking to create your own personal Walden Pond moment. And while our option doesn't involve the 21st century version of leaving society, aka a month-long Instagram break, it does include a putting pen to paper for a stranger to read by way of pen paling. And right around the point of the pandemic, when most of us began to accept the fact that our yearly vacation would be Airbnb in a cabin in Massachusetts, local Rhode Islander Jessica David was putting the feelers out in the Twitterverse to see if our state had a pen pal program to combat the commonly felt loneliness. That's when What Cheer Writers Club saw the tweet, reached out to Jessica, and from there a partnership, and Dear Rhode Island was born. So thank you for speaking with me today about Dear Rhode Island in a quahog-sized clamp nutshell.
Mhm.
How would you describe Dear Rhode Island and what went into creating it?
Yeah, Quahog sized. So, short and sweet, it is a like community built letter exchange. So it was co-created by myself and the staff at What Cheer Writers Club. That's a nonprofit that we're part of, as well as community member Jessica David. And it was sort of born out of primarily Jessica's love of receiving letters during the pandemic.
What is the process that goes into matching pen pals?
We keep it pretty simple. So it's really just like folks sign up on the website, dearrhodeisland.com, dearri.com. And then we collect all the names, and I just sort of run it through an Excel formula to randomize everybody. And then we send the matches via email, sort of just to, I guess, make it so, if you were out in town, like walking down Hope Street in Providence, or at some sort of festival, you might run into someone that who's with somebody who you don't know, and it's sort of that connection of random happenstance, but through our Excel sheets.
Also reminded me, I was going to ask, is this only for Rhode Islanders?
Yeah, good question, and actually something that we've been asking ourselves recently, because we have gotten some folks who've signed up who are not from Rhode Island. So we focus on Rhode Island. We never say like, if your sign up form comes in and your address is in Massachusetts or even in like Iowa, which we've gotten someone signed up for, Florida or Maine, we never sort of uh, tell those people they can't participate, because I think a connection is a connection, and that's sort of the whole shtick of it all.
I wanted to ask, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this next round, this next batch of letters, people will be writing love letters to healthcare workers. I think I
Yes,
got that right.
Valentine's galore. Um, no, it's I mean, a little bit, yes. We sort of just had this idea that it would be a nice thing, because we got a lot of feedback after our last round, writing to folks living in housing authorities who might be experiencing sort of increased isolation, or and we heard back from a lot of people who participated that it was a sort of a nice thing to connect to someone that you wouldn't normally sort of see out in the world, or um, a nice sort of feel good thing to do in a time where it's kind of hard to come by things that make you feel good, in this world. So the thought we had was it would be a good idea to pair with some healthcare facilities, to just sort of write a thank you letter, for all of the folks, doctors and nurses, but also sanitation staff and anybody sort of working in the front lines of those healthcare facilities, to just say thank you and sort of send a little bit of love, and you know
Yeah, it's a wonderful idea. I really do like it. The thanks is very nice. I was hoping to write a love letter to Meredith Grey, but
I mean,
that's
what's stopping you?
no.
I say the
I
more letters the better.
so before we end, I did want to ask you again, how can people sign up? Where do they go? What is the protocol once you do sign up?
Yeah. So you can go to dearri.com to sign up. There's a pretty simple sign up form there that just takes your name, your address, your preferred letter writing language if you want. We do have folks who, uh, you know, either want to write or want to receive a letter in English and Spanish and French. Right now, we're doing our thank you healthcare heroes round. So the sort of sign up deadline for that is March 20th. That once that's signed up, you will get your match in the email, and then the next round after that would probably be in May. I think it's every other month, and that would be a more regular pen pal round.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me. Uh, sit down with me,
You
as
sit
this is
down.
still a thing.
I am sitting. I think you're sitting. So
Yeah, I am short, but I'm not this short. My favorite part of that interview is the part where she didn't completely shut down the idea that the thank you cards for the healthcare workers could be love letters, which is really great for me considering I'm the oldest grandchild on my Jewish side of the family. My younger twin sister is already engaged, and I chose comedy as my life's purpose. Well, so here we are. It's March, and we're this close to getting back to, dare I say, normal? And for Rhode Island, that means celebrating things that burn, like the namesake vessel for Gatsby Days, or our esophagus from all the corned beef at the Newport St. Patty's Day celebration, but most importantly, the holes in our wallets at the Twin Rivers Casino. Soon, pandemic-induced loneliness will be a thing of the past, and we'll move on to the new, exciting realm of post-COVID anxiety. It warms my heart, but that's only because it's racing so quickly. All things considered, loneliness is a bitch, and the feeling doesn't discriminate, especially during COVID. So before we end this, I'm gonna switch gears right quick and say it's okay not to be okay. You're not weaker for it, and you never are. Things really, really, really suck right now, no doubt, but you're gonna make it through it. Reach out to your people, have a talk, and don't be afraid to ask for help. And akin to the lyrics of the greatest Grammy snub of all time, we're all in this together. We are all in this together. So, Rhode Island, let's do this. Let's get through this final push. Keep those masks on, over the nose, get the vaccine as soon as you can, and carry on doing what we do best, not being the worst.